This is Vote for the Music, the Eurovision podcast.
Welcome back to Vote for the Music, the Eurovision podcast. I'm Benjamin Windybank.
And I'm Tadeusz.
We'll be giving you the lowdown on everything about the Eurovision Song Contest 2024 in Malmö,
the Junior Eurovision Song Contest 2023 in Nice,
and more. On this week's episode, we bring you news of
North Macedonia,
Monaco,
Germany, Austria and Switzerland,
as well as news from SVT about the organisation of Eurovision 2024,
and the Junior Eurovision news from
Malta,
Poland,
Ireland,
and Albania.
So I think, with all that being said, we're good to go.
This is to music first, always.
We are unstoppable.
Open the frontiers to make people meet people.
Music is not fireworks. Music is feeling.
You're good to go.
Thank you, Vote for the Music!
This is Vote for the Music, the Eurovision podcast.
So our first story this week is the news that North Macedonia are coming back, we think, to the Eurovision Song Contest next year.
North Macedonia backed out from the participation after the 2022 contest, explaining this with the ongoing economic crisis. However, some people suspected that it may have something to do with a jury scandal last year, or another infamous incident regarding the representative Andrea and Macedonian flag. Whatever is the reason, it is really good news to see them back.
Yes, so North Macedonia's official reason for withdrawing last year was the cost of living, the prices in the UK, the amount it costs to send a delegation to UK, which, was extraordinarily high due to many economic difficulties in the United Kingdom at the moment. Also, the fact that going to the UK is probably one of the hardest places in Europe to go as a Eurovision delegation because of the fact that any staging, any props, any costumes can't be sent just by lorry, just by truck. It has to be shipped because it's not connected by land. So that was their official reason, but they'd always indicated they'll probably be back this year, and they have, of course, stayed in Junior Eurovision.
We owe North Macedonia some great entries, some acclaimed entries, as well as they have in their portfolio winning the jury vote in 2019. I'm certainly interested to see what they are going to present this time. I would also love to see them taking even more care to the contest than they did, since a last national final before withdrawing was a bit underwhelming. However, given the fact that the financial crisis is still ongoing, perhaps it's good to be as happy they're back.
Yes, so if we just get into the nitty-gritty of this announcement, the way where we know the return wasn't an exact announcement. It's the fact that the North Macedonian broadcast, MRT, every year publishes their annual budget, and they did so on the 15th of September, which was also the EB deadline, but a complete coincidence, actually. And last year, we found out they were withdrawing because their annual budget just said Junior Eurovision, not Eurovision, and was far less. This year, the annual budget says Eurovision and Junior Eurovision, which is what's practically confirmed their return. Now, of course, this isn't 100%, but considering this is the way we found out they were leaving last year, it's very likely that they are back.
As much as we're happy with this return, unfortunately the returns we're not going to see this year. I think from the not return of Monaco, which confirmed that they are not going to participate in Eurovision 2024.
Yes, one of our leading stories last week was that Monaco might be back, and yes, that has been confirmed not to be the case this year. If you're not up on this story, a new Monegasque broadcaster launched on the 1st of September. They very quickly got EBU membership. Lots of people thought this is very likely Monaco are going to be back. They'd allocated budget for Eurovision in the past, and now they've said, no, we're not doing it. This looks very likely to be the case that they do want to do Eurovision, they do want to do it in the future, in the near future, maybe in 2025. It's just they need time to set it in as a broadcaster because they've just been active a few days and they can't quite commit to a full Eurovision participation quite yet. But I think 2025 is considerably likely for a Monegasque return.
Right, if they need time, then I guess we just have to wait and hopefully we're going to see them another year. There were a lot of news regarding various countries participating or not participating this year's. Among the countries that are still to confirm whether they're going to participate or not, we see some interesting names like Armenia, Austria, Czechia, Romania, and Montenegro.
So there's two of those that we can pretty much discuss already. Armenia, for the last 3-4 years, have never confirmed if they're going into Eurovision again or not. That just seems to be the broadcaster's policy. We only ever seem to find out if they're in it or not on the day that the EBU published the full participation list, which is at the end of October, and all of that will be clear by then. So I think Armenia are probably in. It's just general policy from the broadcaster not to say anything any other way. And then the other one, as we talked about last week, Romania, it's very likely they're not in the competition. It's very likely they pulled out. Still not 100% confirmed, but everything we've seen has indicated Romania will not be competing. So that leaves Australia, Czechia, and Montenegro. Montenegro, of course, weren't in last year's competition, but we always got the sense they'd probably be back.
Regarding the last two remaining countries, we probably can expect them again. Czechia achieved a great top 10 result in last year's contest, and despite the fact they clearly have some issues regarding public perception on of the contest, that should be enough of assurance for them to try again. Austria, of course, has a problem regarding the fact that the deal that allowed them to participate has expired. However, Australians are still great fans of Eurovision Song Contest, and the many past participants assured us that it's going to be alright and they're not going anywhere else. So I believe we're going to see Australia on the final list as well.
Yes, on the subject of Australia, the deal's pretty much that they had a 5-year contract with the EBU, starting 2019, I think, to participate in Eurovision, and that would have to be renewed here. Now, the EBU seem to be quite global looking at the moment. They seem to be very interested in exploring other EBU contests and all that kind of thing. So I think on their side of things, they would have no problem with keeping Australia in the contest. SBS have also said informally that they're very happy to keep participating. So it seems that it's just a formality for them to be announced to be returning, but we still don't know. It has been radio silence, so anything could happen. I think the only real question we have here is Romania, which we think are gone, but you can never call it, and largely Montenegro. Are they coming back or not? Bear in mind, they went out for cost reasons too. They weren't as certain that they were going to be back after 1 year like North Macedonia were, and costs in Sweden and the Nordics can be very, very high, and that does have to be considered when you're looking at participants from the Balkans. And speaking of Sweden and SVT, they have given us a brand new announcement this week about the Eurovision 2024 core production team, and they announced quite a bit back in July about who was producing it, but they notably left a couple of positions absent, and they've now been filled in. That's Per Blankens and Bjorkman, both members of the household furniture of Melodifestivalen over the past 20 years. Bjorkman was the Swedish representative in 1992. He went on to become a TV producer and relaunched Melodifestivalen in 2002 and stayed there all the way until 2021. He recently had a venture out to America and produced the American Song Contest, where he had the wonderful catchphrase as their executive supervisor of "Make it happen."
Snoop, Kelly, make it happen!
Not quite take it away or you're good to go, but sure. And he sort of crashed and burnt, and he sort of left with his head in shame. But SVT have said no worries, they have brought him onto the contest. He does have a big Eurovision pedigree as well. He was contest producer on 2013, 2016, 2017, 2018 and 2019. He practically single-handedly saved the Kyiv 2017 broadcast when they were in deep, deep trouble. So he is someone who can probably give us a very good show.
It seems that a single fluke is not enough to tell Mr. Bjorkman's long legacy, and we're going to see it continue, hopefully for the best, as we're going to experience it live.
Yes, but we have had a few interviews with Per Blankens and Christer Bjorkman, amongst all this from Aftonbladet, the Swedish tabloid, who tell you all of the Eurovision 2024 news a day before it's actually announced. And we've got a couple of quotes, so I'm going to read out a few, and that might give us a bit of insight into what their approach to Eurovision is. So about the rumours about the length of the Eurovision Song Contest 2024, the fact SVT are heavily rumoured to be cutting it down by possible format changes, Per Blankens had this to say.
You have to have time to collect and compile all the public votes, but it will be late for those who live in the East and also for us who live in Central Europe. So the program has everything to gain from being made shorter, but without shredding or just tearing it off.
So the big rumour about what they're doing to shorten the show but not shred the length or tear it off, as he's saying, is the adopt a format more like what Melody Festivalen does, which is presenting the jury votes while the telephone lines are still open after all the songs have performed, and then have intervals between the jury voting and the televotes, which would shorten the show and reduce the time. But obviously this means that the televote would be influenced by the incoming jury results. What Per Blankens says there doesn't seem to disprove this theory, so we'll have to see whether they do it.
When it comes to the format and the changes that are going to happen to it, Christer Bjorkman had this to say.
We have a format that is very good and alive, and many of the changes happened in 2013 and 2016, with the tonality and the voting. I don't think a lot of adjustments are needed right now. What we have to work on is make a very tight broadcast, efficient good television that doesn't take up too much time. That is our big goal.
So looks like no revolution on the horizon this time.
Yes, it looks, from what Bjorkman is saying there, his focus, though he isn't in charge of the show, he's in charge of the contest. So he doesn't really have any oversight here. But it looks like his view on it is that they just need to take out all the fat. They just need to streamline and tighten the show where everything happens the same, just do it more efficiently, do it with less messing about. Whereas I think what Per Blankens is saying is more so that maybe they'll look at some format changes, but Bjorkman seems to saying that's not on their radar because they already did that in 2013 and 2016. We've got mixed messages there, but I assume we'll find out in a few months what will be the case. But definitely a shorter Eurovision Song Contest grand final is on the horizon. 4 hours 15 minutes is just not going to happen with an SVT broadcast. I'm thinking 3 hours and a half to 3 hours 45 minutes.
While Eurovision 2024 team is organizing, the Eurovision reference group is forced to reorganize a bit. Introducing Tomisław Štengl, the head of Croatian delegation, who is now joining the reference group after a backlash regarding the domination of Western Europe in its ranks.
Yes, so the EBU website for the reference group, the Eurovision reference group, is the body that essentially oversees the Eurovision Song Contest, so it's got a whole bunch of different people, different heads of delegation, different producers from a bunch of other countries, and their website has quietly been updated to introduce the Croatian head of delegation that wasn't announced when the reference group was, well, the new reference group was relaunched in July with all these people, and there was a lot of criticism from a lot of people that the furthest east the reference group got was Italy. There wasn't any Eastern voices in it whatsoever, so this seems to have been done in a response to give some sort of Eastern voice in the reference group, but boosting up the numbers higher than it's actually supposed to be, because obviously they couldn't kick someone out for that case. So he's there as a special guest, I believe. But this is very interesting. It seems the EBU are very concerned about the fact that they need to keep Eastern broadcasters on side. They need to keep places like the Balkans happy and in the contest. And if it is coming to a decision about televote percentages and televote and jury weightings, which we'll talk more about in a second, there is an Eastern voice here that might argue more for the televote.
Hopefully Tomisław's voice will be a valuable one. Croatia surprised us not one time already. Now, on 12 September in Berlin, we saw an ESSC workshop taking place where selected heads of delegations, producers, EBU members, and beyond arrived to discuss the upcoming event when some first important news about the ESC 2024 and its production were shared.
Yes, so this is all a private meeting that was attended by the reference group mainly, and then other heads of delegations could show up if they wanted to, including Norway's Stig Karlsen. Stig Karlsen is a very controversial man. He's a big advocate for the televoting, getting rid of the juries. He said in advance of the EBU ESC workshop that his mission there was to get the jury weight reduced or removed entirely. Now, well, we've had no confirmation, we've had no comment from anyone, nothing officially said. The night of the 12th of September, Stig Karlsen put on his Instagram story a picture of a beer glass with beer in, and the caption, "Mission accomplished."
That would be certainly some huge news if a vote and more influence in the voting. However, publicity and marketing are publicity and marketing. I'm sure that Mr. Carlsen would announce his success no matter the result, so we have to wait and see what actually comes out of this.
There were some other things that happened at the ESC workshop. For example, we saw the Luxembourgish delegation make their first appearance at a Eurovision event in 30 years, and they got to mingle with a lot of the different heads of delegations that were there. SVT were represented, the BBC were there, RAI were there, lots of different people. So there was lots of about Eurovision 2024, which was likely discussed, decided, and shared with the different delegations that we're all not going to find out about until at least January and February, I would assume so.
Now, and speaking of Berlin, it seems that some delegations related to Berlin are already getting friendly, because German ARD has just struck a deal with Austrian broadcaster ORF as well as with SRF on joint co-production of Eurovision after shows and promos.
Yes, so this is part of a larger deal that ARD, ORF and SRF have signed in general for joint programming across the German-speaking region, but it also includes the Eurovision Song Contest. So as a whole, this is a €140 million deal. But for Eurovision, this means they're working on making a bunch of collaborative pre-Eurovision bonus content, after shows, countdown shows, a bunch of stuff which will be there for German speakers, which they'd never had before, which they're all making, collaborating between them, that will be simulcast on all three broadcasters.
And the presentation of Eurovision in a German-speaking region is definitely something that we are concerned with, as Germany, Austria and Switzerland each has a very big Eurovision as well as generally musical legacy on their own. Certainly in our best interest as Eurovision fans and consumers to see Eurovision promoted in those countries, as thanks to that perhaps we're going to see more great music coming from this very fertile in terms of art region.
So moving on to Junior Eurovision Song Contest news now, which is in November in Nice. We have the song title for the Spanish entry. This is the first song title we have for any of the entries, though we do have a bunch of artists confirmed. And the song title is Loviu, which I assume is some sort of like love, I love you, or love I you, or something of that sort in some sort of acronym. So that sounds interesting.
Certainly haven't heard of a Spanish word that would sound like this. However, that is a bit of a surprise. Marte, Palante, Rail, Señorita, and now suddenly Love You. It seems that out of the blue, Spain decided to move from the Spanish titles in favor of the English one. Does it signalize any trend? I don't think so. I'm probably just overthinking it. Spain knows what they're doing with their Eurovision participation, and I don't expect at much of a switch in regards of what they are presenting us with. The fact that the title speaks of love suggests that we're probably going to see another song about teenage love, like for example Señorita last year.
A delegation which perhaps doesn't quite know what they're doing though is Malta, and their Junior Eurovision song release, which was supposed to happen 2 days ago on the 15th of September, it didn't quite go to plan.
So, Maltan broadcasters announced prior that they are going to release the song on a date of 15th of September 2023. What happened? We have absolutely no idea. Radio silence.
Yes, so we're not quite sure when we're going to get the Malta Junior Eurovision song this year, but yeah, they said they were going to release it and then they didn't. So who knows? We'll bring you updates on this story as we move forwards. Hopefully we will get it before long.
But while Malta's and Junior Eurovision selection is seeming to be going according to plan, Polish Junior Eurovision selection is very much going according to plan. We've got to see the second episode of Szansa na Sukces last week, and what an episode it was. After some splendid performances, we once again got 2 qualifiers. Filip Robak won the jury voting and got a ticket to the final after the incredible cover of Beyoncé's Stand Up for Love. Also getting to the final is Graciana Górka, who performed Andrade's Rise Up.
And looking over to Ireland, they once again, on the same day, had their second heat of their Junior Eurovision Air show, which saw Claire Cleely qualify to the final with 25 stars. Ireland's final of Junior Eurovision Air will air on the 8th of October 2023, with the song following a few weeks afterwards. And Poland will be airing their final on the 24th of September next week, which follows on from both contests airing their third heats tonight.
So we're going to see Irish and Polish entries soon. We're going to see a Maltan entry one day, allegedly. We hope so. And we also know where we're going to see Albanian entry, as on 20th of September, Junior Fest is scheduled to happen, where Albania picks their song for Junior Eurovision Song Contest.
Yes, this Wednesday on the 20th of September, this very Wednesday, Albania will be picking their song in Junior Fest, so stay tuned for that. They are picking song and artist there. And finally, we have some very positive news, some very nice news just to keep you all informed about. Valentina Monetta, who was the San Marinese entry in 2012, 2013, 2014 and 2017, has announced that she has got married yesterday on the 16th of September to music producer King Siso. And there we go, we wish them all the best happiness for the future.
Congratulations to them. That will be it for this week. Please remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, or any other platform you're using, as well as on YouTube.
Yes, and if you want to send us any messages, please contact us at the email address contact@voteforthemusic.co.uk. And remember to keep checking the voteforthemusic.co.uk website for more updates. So it's bye for me.
And goodbye for me as well.
Vote for the Music, the Eurovision podcast.